This is a television pitch for Frasier. Here's Looking at You. This is by Sandy Crabtree. The genre is your typical 30-minute sitcom. The logline: a good son tries to find his retired father a hobby. His gift of a new telescope starts a budding relationship with a lady across the way as father and neighbor communicate by holding up signs. However, his father must soon come to grips with his relationship fears. Frasier typically starts with him and his radio show, and this episode is no exception. As he takes his first call, the setup for the whole theme of the show is established. The first scene is a setup for the whole show's theme. Frasier takes the call and says, "Hello, Doug. This is Dr. Frasier Crane. I'm listening." Doug says, "Yeah, well, it's about my mother. She's getting on now, and she doesn't have much of a life. And I mean, she doesn't want to do anything or go anywhere, and she literally hangs around the house all day. I mean, it's very frustrating, I think." Frasier, Doug, I'm sorry. Can we just go back for a second? You said your mother literally hangs around the house. Well, I suppose it's a pet peeve of mine, but what you mean to say is that she figuratively hangs around the house. To do literally hang around the house, she'd have to be a bat or a spider monkey, you see. Now back to your problem. Doug, do you mind if we stop while I tell you my pet peeve? Frasier, oh, not at all. Doug, I hate it when intellectual pinheads with superiority complexes nitpick your grammar when you come to them for help. That's what I got a problem with. And Doug angrily hangs up the phone. And Frasier says, I think what he means is that is a thing with which he has a problem. As he is starting on the new dilemma of his day. As he was out shopping, he finds a telescope, and he brings that home for it to be his dad's new hobby. His dad is very excited about the gift. Daphne looks in it early on, and she comes up with all these things that supposedly she's seeing to just aggravate him. And then it doesn't take long before Martin is really into this. He finds a lady across the way who also has a telescope looking back at him, and they start holding up signs communicating back and forth and do this for. This is Frasier and Daphne in the kitchen. They go in there away from Martin, and they're just pondering, is he really falling for this woman? And they decide that he is. And Frasier decides to insert himself again, and he starts teasing Martin about that being his girlfriend. And Martin goes, "She's not my girlfriend." And Frasier says, "Oh, please. You two have been exchanging notes for the last 3 days. If you were in the 6th grade, you'd be sitting in a tree." Kissing. One after another throughout the show. Niles, of course, has another answer for his father. His wife's Aunt Patrice is visiting, and frankly, he would like to get rid of her for a while, and he decides that he will fix her up with a date with his dad to introduce him. And at the beginning, the introduction seems fine. She's obviously a very attractive woman, and Martin was all smiling and happy, but it didn't take long before she showed herself to be a true nutcase. She was so crazy that Martin was worried that maybe she was having a stroke or something was horribly wrong with her. Martin is typically very content sitting in his chair watching TV and living his life his way. Of course, both his sons have much better ideas for him. He eventually agrees to go on a date with this woman, and Martin says, "Boy, it's been a long time since I've been dating. Have things changed much in the last 40 years? And Frasier says, "Well, the wardrobe's a little different, but your ultimate goes." Martin says, "See if I've got this tie on right." And Daphne said, "Just needs a minor adjustment." Said, "What's all this hair on it?" Martin says, "The only way I can get the knot right is if I tie it on Eddie first." This show are just continuous. It's just every few seconds it seems like there's a new joke. At the end, after all of his fears and everything, Irene, the neighbor across the way, is at the door, and this is the scene where Martin opens the door, and as you see, Frasier and Daphne are standing in the background. Obviously, Martin is very pleased with the lady standing there. The audience never sees what she looks like. This scene ends it. And it was very sweet. At the end of the show, it talks about Frasier being the good son. After all, he was the one that bought the telescope, and which led to Martin meeting Irene and having a nice date, while Niles had tried to fix his date up with his wife's crazy Aunt Patrice, which did not work out well at all. And that is the end. Thank you for watching. Frasier is a great sitcom, and this is another great example of an episode that is worth watching. Thank you.